Good day, these are the news by Bani Kandondo. eThekwini sends Jojo tanks warning to Durban residents. 10 dead, 13 missing after KZN flood. Fires caused loss and devastation to hundreds across province of the Western Cape. Please stay tuned for more. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Let's dive into our first story of the day. The municipality of eThekwini is giving residents hard times for preserving water that they may use when there is water outage. Same government who is buying the same tanks from Jojo Tank Company to give to the public, and the same government who is using the same Jojo tanks to deliver water when there is water outage. The same government is using the same tanks to give to the rural areas. The same government is having the same tanks in the schools. The government schools are having these tanks installed for when there is water outage. The same tanks could help a greater deal when there is floods in the KZN, as they may contain a lot of water when the floods are taking place. Government is focusing on people who are preserving water for themselves, for in case there is water outage, as the same government fails to deliver preservation of water by residents, yenza kushote water for the greater masses. It is the government's duty to make it a point that the water is distributed equal amongst all the citizens and residents of a certain area or municipality, instead of working together with the guys who are trying to help the same government or municipality, because using these tanks may also help in times of floods, as they may contain a lot of water, in saving or limiting and reducing the amounts of water that will flood and cause damages.
Disconnect static water tanks connected to eThekwini reticulation system, or drastic measures will be taken. Durban. The eThekwini municipality has appealed to residents to disconnect static water tanks connected to the municipal reticulation system as a means to conserve water. By static water tanks, the municipality was referring to tanks such as Jojo tanks. Municipal spokesperson Gugu Sisalana said residents are encouraged to practice rainwater harvesting as a viable option for additional water storage. The city further assures the public that teams are attending to the persistent water outages that are affecting some parts of the northern areas, including Phoenix, where there has been a noticeable increase in static water tanks, Sisalana explained. Continuing, she said the Phoenix 2 reservoir zone is struggling the most due to the increased number of static water tanks that residents have installed in their homes.
Disconnect water tanks connected to eThekwini reticulation system, or drastic measures will be taken. This sounds like a demand or a threat rather than an appeal towards the eThekwini municipality residents, whom have decided to use static water tanks to preserve water due to frequent water outages that is made possible by the same municipality. The same municipality attacks Jojo Water Tanks Company, saying it is referring to Jojo tanks. We all know that load shedding has been part of our lives for a very long time due to the incompetence of the government and its municipalities. And yet, the eThekwini municipality has an audacity to promise its residents that it will come with a solution. They should stay put and stop using their static water tanks. I strongly believe that as a taxpayer and a person who's paying rates, that includes water and electricity, it should be up to you and your household how you save water and how you save electricity for future utilization. The government is unreliable and incompetent.
Do you think it is upon the municipality to decide what the public does with the water they pay for? In terms of preservations, during frequent water outages, that is made possible by the same municipality? Please leave your comment below.
However, should there be no cooperation, the city will be forced to take drastic measures. This will include installing restrictors for all properties with static tanks to limit the amount of water that these properties consume and store in their tanks, Sisolana continued. It is estimated that about 70% of the properties with static tanks draw water from the Phoenix 2 reservoir zone, and this percentage equates to an additional reservoir that the city has to fill up to ensure an equitable water supply. Sisolana reminded the public to continue using water sparingly. She said areas that are supplied by the Phoenix 2 reservoir zone and are experiencing intermittent water supply include Sunford, Hannaford, Phoenix Highway, Longcroft, Longberry, Plaza, Southberry, Eastberry, Sastry Park, Caneside, Canehaven, Woodview, and Grove End area.
The Jojo tank saga is happening in Durban suburbs, while on the other side of KwaZulu-Natal, people are suffering from natural disasters. Floods have washed away their properties, houses, and their loved ones. Have you ever noticed that floods in South Africa always hit severely the poor people areas? Is it because God left them, or their ancestors have abandoned them? Or is it global warming? Or is it the current government negligence? Or, as you all know, that anything that happens in South Africa, we always blame the apartheid government. Does it have a hand in this? There's only one answer to all these questions, and that answer is yes. Yes, people are no longer living good, and they are no longer fearing God, as we are so good in doing evil.
The Gauteng Church is evangelizing in a different way. Congregants openly drink and pray with the approval of their bishop. Malungelo Boy visited Khabula Church and filed this very sober report.
Countless of our members are smoking and drinking
inside the church.
Even the bishop is doing likewise because he's leading by example.
We are no longer acknowledging and honoring our ancestors by doing proper rituals. We don't care about our environment. We air pollute, water pollution, land pollution, deforestation. We just don't care. And the current government could make this to be not possible by not allowing people to establish informal settlement and provide them with proper housing. Yes, highly likely, and it is evident and factual that the apartheid government had contributed by coming up with laws that segregated people and made it possible for white people to acquire a lot of land in good areas, and the left land was left amongst the majority to share. Alan Patton in Cry the Beloved Country attests to this in the first 2 chapters, where he's showing Docheni and high farmlands. Docheni, people, they can't even plant. High farmlands, white people are living and flourishing. Docheni, young men were living for the cities because they wanted to be closer to work. They started shanty towns, started living in shacks, living in high risk areas, and then the then government didn't care because it only wanted the workforce to be closer to work.
And what the Natives Land Act did was it pretended to be fair and say black people can buy land in this area and white people can buy land in this area. But of course the white area was 14/15 of the country.
Yes.
So black people who'd been living in white areas were faced with this appalling choice. Either you give all your capital, all your livestock to the white guy and take a 90% reduction in your income. Or if you don't accept that, go.
Move.
But where can you go? You can't settle anywhere.
And who was there first?
Yeah.
What a good question that is.
Fast forward 1950, they got a little bit irritated by having black people living closer to them. Group Areas Act came to play, where black people were put in areas that they are living today. They are living in today, the same areas that are always hit by natural disasters. This move by then, or the apartheid government, was a socio-economical move that would benefit their generation to come. It was a legacy move that had put the majority in high mortality risk areas that are faced with drought and exposed to geophysical and geological hazards. And that's what is happening today.
Our third and the last story. Talking about natural disasters seemingly to attack the poor communities, in Cape Town shacks have been burned down once again. Fires cause loss and devastation to hundreds across province. Nearly 1,000 residents have lost their homes and possessions just days ahead of the new year as fires ravaged various parts of the province. Firefighting and humanitarian relief efforts continued in a number of communities where residents have been displaced, including 60 residents in the latest fire at Imizamo Yethu in Hout Bay on Wednesday morning. City Disaster Risk Management Center spokesperson Charlotte Powell said 20 informal structures and 9 formal houses were razed in the Hout Bay fire. In Seawinds, 135 structures were destroyed.